Okay, we're gonna take. Oh, you got worst angle ever. Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here's me. Hope you're doing well. I'm great. Never how you want to start things off with a glimpse right up from the bottom of the chin. Vlog time? Yeah. We got 4 inches of rain last night. And by last night, I mean between 5:30 and like 6:15. Just poured. Filled the pool up. See that? Pool. Very, very full. But, good news. I don't know why I said but. Don't really need to go against myself here. Had lots of rain. And good news is that all the trenching that was done up here, which we didn't really do in a video, but this whole area up here had to be trenched out because all of their water kept over this wall and filling the pool up with dirt. Last year, that was an issue. So, have this all trenched out. You can see where the water pours through. It's still trickling through. Comes through down here and goes down there to a receptacle. Very nice. Very nice. Just had to build up a little wall. Work things out. I'm surprised more mimosa junk didn't wash in. Well, there's some little mimosa flower islands floating around in there. So, would have thought more would have gone in there. So, anyways, the good news is I don't have to water today. Not that I don't just love and enjoy watering the plants, but this week it's supposed to be hot. That's what they were saying anyways. The high today's been moved up to, or down, to 88. I'm not complaining about 88. Nothing wrong with those temperatures. They were originally saying that all week it was going to be, 95 to 100, somewhere in there, and hot and humid. And now it's looking like it's still going to be pretty hot, but lots of rain, pop-up showers. So, that'll help. Won't have to water as much. Where did that come from? I was thinking that it might be fun to do a video just walking around pulling weeds, because it's been about a month. I'm noticing some of these guys are going pretty hard here, so that might be fun. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, or maybe maybe that might be a good thing for this video. I don't know if I should really let it go that much longer, because today is a Monday. This video won't be out until Saturday. That might be waiting a bit too long to get on top of some of these weeds. Look at this one. Well, okay, the storm took a big chunk of it down, but there was one of those really big, it's called like a Chinese lettuce, I think is what it's called. Well, it was like this tall. Storm took it down. Would like to do a garden tour. Everything is so lush and full right now as I zoom in on seeds and not anything that's full and lush, but it is. I really am waiting for these gingers to bloom. They're late this year. They need to get on it. Crinums are popping open. Persephones, aren't they pretty? Sorry, Persephone. All these years I was saying it wrong. I'm not going to start saying it right now. Yeah, so there's your intro. An intro to absolutely nothing. I don't have a plan for this week. I'd like to get that drip finished, but that's not going to happen today. 1, because I already have plans today, and 2, well, everything's stopping wet. I just don't feel like getting wet. This got knocked out of the vanilla, strawberry vanilla hydrangeas down there. It was laying on the patio, so I thought I'd maybe grab my snips and cut them up and throw them into a vase. It just seems like such a waste to not hold on to flowers this big. These are huge. Absolutely massive, so just don't judge my hair. Look how big these things are. They're freaking huge. That might make for a fun thumbnail if my hair weren't flat and stupid looking right now. Yeah. They look cool. So I'm going to find some snips, throw them in a vase, and we'll pick up at some point and start doing something, because there's plenty to be done, mostly weeding. Got a little bit of planting that I could do, but it's supposed to be a hot one, so I think the best thing to do would be to button up what's left of the drip. Is that better? I fixed it. It was just too flat. We can't have that this early in the morning. Gotta look fresh. Just got out of the shower. There are some plants over here that I need to get into the ground. Oh, I guess I shouldn't do that because the ground is sopping wet. I go back and forth with planting in a wet ground. There are pros and cons to it, and it largely depends on your soil type too. So if you have a lot of clay, which the area that I'm going to be putting most of these plants in, there's a good amount of clay, then I like to be more careful about planting when the ground's sopping wet. I mean, we're only an hour or so outside of having 4 inches of rain, because when you dig, you can create sort of a bowl or a basin kind of thing. You create these walls that the water has trouble getting through. To combat that, sometimes I'll go through and I'll just score the sides of the hole. And in my head that helps, but I have nothing behind that to prove that it does anything at all. Just what I do. So it's like, well, if I break up that smoothness, then that'll help keep it from, you know, forming a shell and underground pot, basically. The other issue is I'm trying to loosen up the soil in the area where a lot of these are going. I've been amending over the last couple of years. It's going to take many more, but it's been a couple of years, and it's just not a great idea to be walking around stomping on top of that wet ground because it packs it down. I actually really make an effort to avoid walking through the areas where a lot of these are going to go. They're mostly shade plants. I don't think this video will have been out yet. Well, they're not mostly shade plants. Some of them are full blazing sun plants, and then some of these are ones that can take the shade. They've been sitting out in the sun and doing absolutely fine, but they can take a lot of shade. Look at this one. Look at the flowers. Aren't those really pretty? This is a Cupfia, a perennial Cupfia for zone 7 and up, but I think it's worth trying in 6 weeks. I've had some Cupfias, like the Vermillionaire, come back for me. Not reliably. It just happened the one time. But I figured, well, this one has actually been tried and tested, and they're saying it's good in 7A, and I'm technically 7A, but I'm really 6B. Y'all know how that goes, the new USDA map. But I just thought it would be so fun to have a perennial Cupfia with those flowers. The hummingbirds are going to love this. But, gotta wait, because the area where it's going to go, sopping wet, and that's definitely soil that I do not want to compact. Oh, it's a new day. The sun is out. It's really freaking hot out here. To be expected. It is summer. I almost did the intro again. I almost said, hi, what's up, gardener friendship. I already did that. It's still pretty moist. The ground is still pretty moist, but I think we're safe to do some planting, and I have some fun stuff over here to get planted up. You're already familiar with these if you watch the channel. These are summer pink caladiums. They are a caladium that I got from Caladiums, Florida, or was it Florida Caladiums? I can't remember. I'll link it down below. That I have developed an obsession for. How could I not? Look at that leaf. Look at it. That's so freaking big. These are monstrous. So when I was shopping their site, I skimmed through all the different caladiums, and I was like, just what gets big? What gets freaking massive? The ones that get massive. And that's the summer pink caladiums. Said 24 to 36 inches. They are the jumbo bulbs, so they're getting a jump off right from the get. These have only been planted up for about 4 weeks now. No, probably more like 6 weeks. About 6 weeks these have been planted up. And their initial growth they shot up was huge. So I didn't have to wait a long time to get this. It was just boom, huge leaves. They have immense variety with their foliage too. So this is a summer pink right here. This right here is pink illusion. Also lots of variety within that foliage. And then you can see over here, these big white leaves that have some storm damage on them. Those are also the summer pinks. These great big ones back here. And these aren't even that big. Forgot, I don't have the wireless mic on, so shouldn't put the camera forward from my face. I have a whole row of them planted up in front of my laurel hedge that I will take y'all down and show you. I've shown them, I think that's probably the most talked about plant for me. The plant I have talked about the most in the garden this year. Maybe y'all are getting annoyed with it by now, I'm not sure. I guess I'll wait for the plane to pass. They're so nice. I don't have my wireless on yet because I have that fan going because it's quite warm today. And the audio's not the best with the wireless. I keep my hand cupped around the microphone on here. But yeah, that's the name. Summer Pink 14 Jumbo Caladiums. And I only ordered 12. They sent 14. Appreciate that. I think that was the case with the rest of them. There will be a haul. I filmed a video unpackaging a whole bunch of caladiums from this company. And it hasn't come out yet because I wanted to wait for them to grow and put on some size. So instead of putting pictures from the website up of the plants, I could show the plant. It'll be old news by the time the video comes out because I talk about these caladiums so freaking much. Can't help it. I like them. They're very nice. Oh, those are some tough staples. Okay, that wasn't that bad. I was just trying to be careful because I have the fan going and there were rice holes in here and I didn't want them exploding out all over the place. Oh yeah, and since it's later in the year than when I ordered my last bunch, there's some growth on these too. See that? They've got growth on them. Oh, and a pen. How nice. Now I have multiple pens. There we go. Caladiums.Florida. That's it. Caladiumsflorida.com. I really like what I've been getting from them. And again, that's with the jumbo bulbs. It just makes sense to just go ahead and get the big ones since I didn't buy bulk caladiums. I used to just get them in bulk from Sam's Club every year where, you know, you'd get, they'd say 15 in a bag. They're usually like 20, 30 sometimes, but they're very, very tiny. By the end of the season, they would size up very big. They'd get nice, size up very well. Either they didn't have them this year or I just missed it. They didn't have a lot. Another plane. There's more. I don't live far from a private airport, and because of that, air traffic, it's usually private jets, which annoys me a lot more than the farm type planes that was right there. Yesterday, the 2 Chinooks went flying over. That was neat and very loud, a little bit creepy too. Yeah, so those are little, the ones I was getting from Sam's. I missed the marks this year. I didn't get them. I don't know if they didn't have them. I don't know what the deal was. So I said, well, instead of getting these big bulk bags of the assorted ones, I did that every year for the last several years. Last year when I got them, it was mostly red, and I didn't like the Caladiums that were in the assortment. And I figured, okay, we'll just order some nice big ones and don't get as many. And now here we are a few weeks later, and I had to get more because they're so freaking nice. These are such nice Caladiums. I know, broken record. I keep going through that. So I'm going to pull one of these out so you get an example of a jumbo Caladium from these guys. Look at it. Look at that. That's so nice. Very big. And I enjoy the rice holes too, because I can just take these and dump them out in the garden to help with some moisture retention. It's much easier to clean up when you're dealing with rice holes. Though they are messy and they do go everywhere. I remember the first time I got a package with rice holes in them. I think it was a package from Proven Winners a few years ago. And I opened the box and I was like, what the heck? What are you doing? Oh, the mess. It was so messy because I was a noob to the rice holes. Hadn't dealt with them before. See that? Look at that. These are nice. And they've got little offsets. That little puny thing is more like what I would get with the assortments from Sam's Club. So big. So big. Now, when I placed this order, I did consider maybe I should just get 5, because I think the options were 5 or 10 or 5 and 12. I can't remember the quantities that they were offering. But I thought maybe I should get one of the smallest quantities. And then I said, no, go ahead and just get a whole bunch of them. Yeah, they get really big. You might have trouble figuring out where to put them, but that's a champagne problem, right? I'm not going to be bothered by that. I mean, until now, when it's time to find a place to put all of them. But it'll be so worth it when they get up and they start going. I have some spots that do get some shade and some morning sun. That's where these will do their best. I have them spread all over the patio too. So over here, these are getting pretty good morning sun. There's some shade from the windmill palm, but really not very much, because in the afternoon the sun is lower in the sky, so it comes through here and it just bakes everything that's in the undercarriage, the understory of this palm tree. An undercarriage full of Caladiums. I don't know how mad I'd be about that. Well, like I said, I'm going to take everybody around and show you the different locations I have them planted in, and these are seeming to be pretty good. I don't know if I would say full sun, but they can take a lot. And then I have some that are getting a very heavy amount of shade, and they're doing just fine too, which is another thing I love about them. And that's generally a case with a Caladium that has a amount of red and white. They tend to be pretty versatile for the sun to the shade. Usually the more red they have, the more sun they can take, the more white they have, the more shade that they would appreciate. And there are exceptions within that too. Like the Radiance Caladiums, they do their best in the shade, but I've had them in some spots where they get a good amount of sun, and I guess they don't look amazing, but they still grow. But they would be better off with some shade. They get much smaller leaves when you put them in the sun. Whereas these are just doing their thing seemingly no matter where I put them. Hence why I now have 14 more of them. 14 more of these tiny little, I mean big for what they are, but little corms that are going to get to be very large, very quick too. It's not too late. You know, people sometimes, that there's this mentality. I think that's because of the way the market works with gardening and with the plants, is that, at least where I live, traditionally, after about Mother's Day, the nurseries start to phase out a lot of the plants. More into Memorial Day now than Mother's Day, but that's, Mother's Day, peak weekend for the nurseries. And usually right around now, I bet if I were to go to some nurseries right now, the big box stores anyways, they would probably have mums and some fall things out, which just, ugh. Don't do it. Don't buy them now. They won't be in flower when the fall comes around. There's just not a point in buying mums this time of year. Unless you just like them, and then, you do you. But a lot of the fun, summery, tropical things, they've started to sort of just scoot those out. They're not getting them in as much. Inventory tends to dwindle for a few weeks, and then they ramp up with new stuff for fall time. And because of that, I think that a lot of people think, oh, well, I should stop planting now. I disagree. You can plant. I plant pretty much all year. As long as the ground's not frozen, I'll put something in the ground. As long as I'm willing and able to remember that I'm going to need to provide water to that plant, because sprinklers aren't up and running in the winter, and a plant that's been stuck in the ground in the wintertime probably isn't going to get much precipitation where I live, and it hasn't rooted out into its surrounding area. It doesn't have the root structure to try and find water. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Summertime, when it's just insanely hot with a potted plant, I will be more cautious about putting them in the ground, especially some of like the little more delicate things like those ones I was talking about from Plant Delights at the beginning of the video. Then I'll be careful, right? Because you run the risk of shocking the plant a lot more when you take them and put them in the ground, potentially probably disturb their roots, and then it gets really hot and they don't have the mechanism available to pull in that water that they need. When even the plants that are in the ground and established might be wilting and having trouble getting through those really hot days. Not great to take a potted plant and stick them in the ground those hot days. So this is regional. It does depend on where you live. I know for me here, there's generally only, a few weeks out of the summer where I will avoid planting, and that varies from summer to summer. This summer has been very pleasant. This week it's brutal, but nowhere near as brutal as some of the weeks we had last summer. I just became accustomed to this absolutely beautiful weather we've had since, I don't know, early April, mid-March. So when it's 95, I'm like, oh my God, it's horrible. When actually 95 is not an unusual thing for July here in St. Louis. So, you know what I'm saying? You get accustomed to the things. I think it'll be safe to plant these. It's only supposed to be really warm for a few days, and I'm probably not going to be putting any of these in locations that are going to be getting a ton of light. They'll be getting a lot of light, okay, but not full sun, right? They'll be getting enough. That's what I should say. They'll be getting a proper amount of light. Sun, that's what makes the difference. Mulching. Mulching is very important when you're planting things in the heat of the summer. Okay, let me back up, elaborate on that. When I say mulching, I don't necessarily mean wood chips or compost, just anything that... Hey, butterfly! Oh, that was a really pretty one. What was I talking about? I got distracted. Oh, there it goes. I got distracted by the butterfly. We're going to have to talk about the butterflies. I'll try and remember that later. So when I said mulch, what I meant is anything that's going to work as a top dressing. Anything that's going to help keep the surface of the soil more cool in areas that are getting a good amount of sun. That'll help hold in moisture and just help the plant get through that adjustment phase. I'm not one of the people that just mulches in the spring and then in the fall. I mulch when I need to mulch because mulching has a purpose. I don't really do it for aesthetics. In my front yard, I usually do. This year I didn't. I said screw it, but I should have. The yard would look better if I had. But in my garden area, front yard's a garden. How do I make this make more sense? Mulch has a purpose, right? And there are multiple purposes, but a big purpose of mulch is to break down, enrich the soil, and provide some protection for the roots down below, hold in some moisture, and help keep things more cool when it's really hot outside. It is largely sold and talked about as more of an aesthetic thing, where you want to have a nice fresh layer of mulch on top of everything. But for me, it doesn't always break down fast enough. You end up with too much mulch. And that's largely because I put huge piles of mulch on top of my plants, like my gingers and my bananas, so I just spread that out in the spring. It's not the most beautiful mulch, but it gets the job done. It breaks down and does its thing. I don't generally need to add mulch because of all that mulch that gets spread around. So another way you can mulch isn't just wood chips or compost. It can just mean that the plant has a lot of other things surrounding it. Ground covers, just whatever's providing some shade to the surface of the soil. We can call that mulch. Isn't necessarily mulch, but it's serving the same purpose as far as keeping things nice and cool, and they do help enrich soil as they break things down and they pull it back up because they're plants, but you get it, right? So that's something to keep in mind. I'm planting in more of a part shade location, and I'm going to be very on top of making sure that they're watered well, that the drainage is good so that things don't get really hot and they just rot out, because that can happen. But since these are corms, if I were working with rhizomes like cannas, it's just that the heat isn't something I'd really worry about unless it's just crazy hot and I don't have time to water or do anything to help cover the surface of the plant. Then maybe you want to be careful. And again, it really just depends on where you live. Here, I'm not worried about it. Yes, I know I need to move the Ziess. I haven't released this video yet, and I'm wondering if I'm going to have people correct me on how I pronounce it. I realized after I finished filming that video that I haven't actually heard other people say the word before. I have only read about them and grown them, but they aren't something that are really common up here where I live, so people generally just say angel's trumpet, but I realize it might be Brugmansia or it might be Brugmansia. I don't think it matters. They're angel trumpets. ADD's working its thing today. Hi, baby. Hi. I'm being very sweet. He wants me to get in the pool. He wants to do his swimmies. You heard me say that, huh? We're not gonna do swimmies right now. We gotta plant things, Turbo. Which we can only do if I eventually shut up and stop talking. I should also move this out of the sun. It wasn't in the sun when I set it here, but it is now. So this needs to get moved to the shade. So this is something completely different. This is a Liaosong Amorphophallus. It's a voodoo lily, which I have another one of in the garden, and I'll show that to you. And there's also an Erythema in here. Consanguinum. Has really pretty foliage on it. Things I stumbled upon while I was on Etsy, and didn't need them, but I've wanted them. I already have the one Liaosong, and I just love it so much. I wanted more. I don't want to wait for mine to multiply. I've wanted some extras. One extra. And the Erythema, it's a nice one. It's one that I like, and I haven't seen for sale very often. Did Aaron from Impatient Gardener do a video on this one, I think? Maybe? I don't know. I'm not great about watching other YouTubers, or plant tubers, I should say, because I just think it's good to do my own thing, stay in my lane. That way everything is just very authentic to me. So I'm not influenced by what other people are doing, right? But I check in with the other channels sometimes, and I feel like I watched something where she was talking about an Erythema. I can't remember. I just looked, took a break, hit up the YouTube. She did talk about this one. Small world. What a coincidence. Or maybe I was subconsciously influenced. It happened. Happens all the time. The thing I really like about this Jack in the Pulpit is it reminds me of a perennial impatient that I had planted years ago. It never thrived here, unfortunately. But it was one that stayed pretty low to the ground, and it wasn't like the annual impatiens grow with all the flowers on them. But the foliage was very similar, but much shorter, and it was summer dormant, so that wasn't great. And this reminds me a lot of that. Just has really pretty silvery foliage. That Erythema. I will put the picture up. In fact, I think I clicked the link on her video, and I think we got ours from the same grower. Yep, that's the same link she had in her video. Perfect. So, Parents Perennials on Etsy. Check them out. They had both of these things. They had the Liaosong Cobra Lily, which I love. It's such a pretty... Let's go look at these things. We've been sitting here for quite a while. I feel like I've gotten all the disclaimers and all the things we need to talk about out of the way. I've just been avoiding stepping out into the sun. I don't want to go out into the sun. Although, time has passed and the sun is now here, so it's time to move over to the shade. Going to need to come over here and repot this Angel's Trumpet, too. Need to get that done. And I guess I could go ahead and move this one now. It should be good. I don't know why I thought this was even the best place to put it. I just repotted. I was like, oh, don't move it out into the sun, but this spot is afternoon sun. Move it to morning sun and afternoon shit. I wasn't thinking. It's fine, though. Worked out okay. They're tough plants. Okay, the camera did something weird when I turned it on. Here are the rest of those summer pink Caladiums. Aren't they beautiful? You can see these are much more white over here. They're getting more shade. I don't know if the shade actually has anything to do with that or not. This one over here gets a good amount of shade, and it's putting up these big green, white, and red leaves. I don't know. Like I said, when these came up, they started off with huge foliage, and it just keeps getting bigger. This is an Alocasia portora right in front of it. It's a young one, but still a Caladium that has leaves bigger than a about 30-inch tall Alocasia. I'm impressed with that. See, there's a spot missing here. I don't know if I forgot to plant right there, or if the one I put there just didn't come up. So I know for sure I'd like to put one right here. I had been thinking when I ordered these that I was going to plant this area more heavily with them, but I don't know. I think if I just put one, or I guess I could do two right here, that will fill in this wall here with the Caladiums. I have it stopped right here. I'm not taking them all the way down because, well, it's an area you just don't really see that much. If I did put them down there, it would draw your eye into that spot, but I don't know, it's just not a spot that I need to draw the eye into. It's an underutilized area, but that's for a reason. I could maybe do some right here too. So maybe one right here, and another one right there. So I have that curve that comes through. So that's 4 right there. I was initially thinking that I'd put them in front of these 2 blue pots, but I think that's going to be pushing it as far as the shade goes. You can see the more we move back this direction, the less flowers we're getting on the impatiens, and those surefire begonias that are just great for the sun or shade. Yeah, they look great, don't they? Very shady right here. I think it'd be too much for them, so I'm probably not going to do that. And then I thought about doing some over here. I don't know. I could maybe pop one in over here. I want them to spread around. You can do that. Little swoop. Couple right there to fill it in. And then maybe just dot them around. So that was what I say. 4 for over there. and then maybe pop in, I don't know, a 5th and a 6th right there, and then come up the hill over here. That's where I can show you that Liaosong Amorphophallus. And I think this would be a great area to put some more of them. Probably shouldn't do too many because you won't be able to see this beautiful pot that's up here, but, well, I don't know. I would like to have more of them around because they're so pretty. You can see there are some smaller caladiums up here. They're just not doing anything for me. So I'm thinking we'll just pop those out or leave them there and just put the larger ones. Maybe one right there and one right there. I think that would be a good way to go. And here's that Amorphophallus, the Liaosong. Isn't it beautiful? What a beautiful plant. So what's fun about this one is that it has this white stem on it. It's not actually a stem. This entire thing is one leaf, but we'll call it a stem. Part of the leaf. It's white with the black specks in it, so it pulls your eye into the shade. That sounded weird. Draws your attention. It lights up. You see it? So if that were all green, it would really fade into things a lot more. But with that white, they don't do that. And these are pretty hardy for an Amorphophallus. And this is its first year's growth. I don't know. I think they said it's a 6B and up, maybe? Might be 6A. No, it's 6B, 10B, and that will max out at about 24 inches. This one, that's about as high as it's going to go, but they'll put up offsets. They'll go about 3 feet tall. These get a good amount of water. There's drip up here that sprays and mists down this whole area. It drains heavily, like sharp drainage, and organically rich. I compost and do all kinds of stuff up here in this area. So it seems to be happy with that. And I just think it would be nice to have another one. Alternatively, you just plant the one, and within several years they will spread out, and you'll have multiple of these giant leaves coming up from the ground that fill in this area. It's not always something to rush to with an Amorphophallus because the flowers are very pungent. But I think it's worth it because they also look really, really neat. I think this one has a 3-foot inflorescence that comes up from the ground, and it's very, I don't know, how would we describe it? Very Georgia O'Keeffe. They're really stinky. Okay, I have to stop because my sense of humor, it's going to go in all different types of places. It's a really neat looking flower. So I think that will be neat having those big spats, the big spates shooting up over there. And then with that Erythema, I was probably going to tuck that into this gap right here. I think those leaves will look really pretty coming up in this spot. This probably won't always be here. I don't know. It's my first year with the hardy succulent planter here. I think it's getting too much water. I've adjusted the irrigation as much as I can, and it's still getting pretty wet. And this time of year, the sun is starting to get lower in the sky, so there's not as much sun over here as there used to be. So, I don't know. May not thrive in this spot. I probably have to find a new place to put it. So, Jack in the pulpit. That'll look good there. Just describing those so much because well, you're not going to see anything when I plant them. At least with the summer pinks, you get an idea of what they look like, right? And then over here, I have a whole bunch of those summer pinks planted up back in here. And things are filling in so much that it's not all that obvious. They don't stand out as much. But they really did in the beginning. Look at them. There's only, I think, probably 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 of them in this spot, I'm guessing. Let's see, 4 here, 4 over there, and then I think there's only 2 in that other spot. Oh, this math isn't mathin'. So I thought I had 12 or 14 of them. I don't know. There's a whole bunch over here. And they're big enough that up back there into that slope, you can still see them. Usually with the caladiums, you gotta look in. And you have to explore to try and see them. Not these. They're big. I know, getting redundant with that. You can see them. Look at that. Look at all the size on these things. They're monsters. And these are the ones that get a good amount of light, though it is filtered. But a few weeks ago, it wasn't as filtered because the angle of the sun was different, and they were getting it pretty intense. And they were doing okay. They were doing great. Oh, Ruby Spice Clethra. Doing its thing. This thing, I planted a few years ago, and it just hasn't done much since, and this year it's finally starting to look nice. Oh, and it smells so good. This thing smells fantastic. Isn't that a beautiful flower? So nice. You know, you have to wait a few years with some of these shrubs to get them to perform and look optimal. I wasn't sure about it. I thought about maybe moving it, but it's looking good this year, so I'm not going to move it. The pollinators really like it. I like to have a lot of things for the pollinators. Something not for the pollinators would be more of those caladiums. I think that look good to put one right there. That'd be a good spot. Maybe 2 of them in this spot. And that would be good because we're carrying them through from back here to the front, dotting them in right here. I don't think there's any room to dot them in over there. I could maybe come back here by the bamboo. Yeah, that might be nice. Right in this spot, put some in there. Okay, all right, lots of options here. Lots and lots and lots of options. I'm gonna get to planting. I don't know if there's a point in filming the planting process because there's nothing to see. If there were plants in a container, different story, but it's just gonna be me doing what I just said or maybe changing things up. We'll cut back and we'll see what's happened. Realized y'all might want to see what comes from the parents perennial, so here's that erythema, the Jack in the Pulpit. Right here, this is a 3/4 to 7/8 ounce. They sell the bulbs and corms. They're different products by the weight of the tuber or corm, which I appreciate. Makes it easier to guess on what you're getting. And this is the Leo song. It's a little guy, but you can see I knew what I was getting. Packaged well. They're packed up in the perlite, vermiculite. Maybe there's no vermiculite in there. It's just perlite, and these were wrapped in a paper towel. Good packaging. Just wait. I know next year I'm going to have 2 of these guys coming up and we'll go, oh, look, it multiplied. Totally forgetting that I just planted another one right next to it. It just feels like something I would do. They don't need to go very deep. That's good. Just enough. A few inches down is fine for the caladiums. Make sure to not pack it in, but the soil's somewhat chunky up here, so it'd be a good idea to make sure that I have filled in the area. And I have another hole. Where is it? Here it is. For this guy. I think this is going to look really nice, having these big white, red, and pink. I mean, it's essentially going to look like this, but much larger on each side of that pot. It's going to be very, very nice. I forgot about the dirt, trying to film and deal with the dirt at the same time. Okay, now, instead of waiting for this to just start going downhill even more, probably just figure out what to do with it right now. Because it's doing okay. The sempervivums aren't, though. The echeverias, they're pretty much unfazed. I was thinking maybe I can just keep it more on the edge of this wall here. It'll have more protection from the sprinklers. And it might actually give this some more light during the day, too. I'm okay with that. Is it stable? Oh, yeah, that's not going anywhere. That's fine. I know I have a lovely spot here to put that Jack in the Pulpit. Oh, look at it. Isn't that a cool-looking plant? I mean... Alright, you can't really say much about it just yet, but it just looks neat. That's some neat growth. I dug my hole in a spot that it's going to be really hard to get to. But I'm just going to lean over the succulents here. Try and get that down. It's a few inches down. Typically you want all that white stuff on the plant to be underneath the soil, but I don't really want to plant that bulb down that far. So I think about 3 to 4 inches should be good on that one. See the soil? Nice and rich. Very well drained, and there's sprinklers over here. There's a mister head that'll keep that nice and moist. Almost forgot. Accidentally lifted up some daffodil bulbs. They popped right up with the auger. I know these are not going down deep enough, but I'm at least keeping them covered, and I can relocate them later. So that's something I should mention. Bright morning sun that becomes filtered later in the morning, and then afternoon shade, as you can see. Or not even afternoon shade. Shade by like 11. But earlier on in the year, up until right about July, this spot gets a good amount of morning sun. It doesn't really start to become more dappled and dark. Really, it's pretty dark over here until we get to July. What's nice about that is the sun comes through enough to wake the things up that are in the ground and get them up. And then by the time things are shaded, there's more height on the plants. They can reach out for the light better. We'll see how they do. I don't know, but I know I'm really looking forward to these caladiums coming up over here. And I've been debating if I should maybe tuck in a couple more, but I don't think I need to. Hey, that's a cool looking critter. Is that a spider? It looked like it was flying, but I think it was just coming down off of its web. Okay, we're taking a break for spiders. Look at you. What have you been through, honey? You missing some... Oh, you can't see it. Come back. No, don't go around the leaf. I was just about to show everybody how cool you are. Come back. Hold on. We'll get this in focus. Yeah, missing some legs. Shaky camera work, I know, but cool spider. I'm gonna leave you alone. I'm sorry. I know. I see you seeing me. Cool spider. Anyways, What was I doing? Oh yeah, planting stuff. Wonder if there's too much sun to do a caladium over here in this corner. If I did that, on the steps, I tried to have symmetry, but it's really difficult to pull off symmetry on the stairwell because, well, you can see why, right? Shade, sun, it's a problem. Nah, I just don't think it's necessary. Those alocasias, they're doing their thing, they're looking good. I don't really want to take away from those, so I'm just going to start going back to what I was planting before. Amazing when it's humid, even when you're working in the shade. Still get pretty sticky. Got the rest of it done. Y'all saw everything we did, right? Talked about it, right? Voodoo Lily, Caladium, Jack in the Pulpit. Fantastic. Pretty sure we talked about that. I put in just one over here. I know we had talked about different quantities for this area, but I put one right here because they get so big, these summer pink caladiums. So I'm talking about when I said I put one, I meant one of the summer pink caladiums. They get so big that I don't want to block the pot and everything. You can already see the plants over here aren't getting very much light as it is, so I don't want to put anything in there that's going to shelter them out too much more or at all. And then I did one right here, very carefully. I'm trying to conserve my variegated Petasites japonicus and do away with the Giganteum varieties because it's just too much. I really prefer the variegated ones. Gigantea ones do hold up better. That's these, with these great big leaves that are all up here on this hill. They hold up a little bit better to the heat, but the variegated ones I think just look nicer. So that's something I've been doing is pulling these when they're in the front of the bed, but this summer, any of the variegated ones I'm seeing in the front, they can stay at this point. And that's neither here nor there. I just thought you should know. That's why I didn't pull that up. I'm just going to let them grow together. So I have two right here, and then two more right here. The Impatiens are about to a size where they're ready for a cutback, a mid-season cutback, which I'm typically pretty bad about doing. But I'm thinking this year is the year where I should do it, meaning now or this weekend. I'm going to wait a few days, wait for this heat to pass through, and just cut them back by about 50% because they're already starting to get leggy. And yeah, that's not going to get any better. So they need a chop. I get hesitant with it because, well, I keep talking about this time of year, we're not getting as much sun over here anymore. So cutting them back doesn't mean they're going to rebound the way I want them to. But if I don't, then in a month or so, these are going to look really terrible. So I think I'll get on that this week. It's not going to be very exciting. I'm going to take a pair of scissors and just go through it and cut them back. Give them a trim. That allows some more light in here, too, to get these going. That was something I was concerned about, is that it's so shaded. You can see one right there is the two spots where I had to reach in. Shouldn't be able to see that, but the Impatiens are getting leggy enough that if you just barely move a branch, it stays bent over. They're not thick like you want them to be. Yeah, I think that's going to fill in this spot nicely. They should get enough light once I do that cut back to bring them up and get them going. It's going to look so much better having that full wall. That gap here has just been bugging me, and I still don't know if I either didn't plant one there or maybe I put one there and it just didn't come up. I don't know. Doesn't matter because now we have one there and two more down there, so it's going to be a swoop. Oh, it's so pretty. The alocasias, this is more garden tour stuff, but that's fine. I'll just repeat it during the garden tour. No, everybody loves that. People love redundancy. I planted these up early May and nothing happened. So I just assumed that they weren't going to come up, and that's why I did the row of caladiums behind them. And then they came up just about, 2 weeks ago. So there's going to be a mix of the alocasias in here with the caladiums. It's fine. It's going to be more messy than I prefer things. I would like to just have a row of one thing and then a row of one thing with the Petasites more so in the background, but it's fine. It's okay. It's beautiful. It's lots of beautiful things. Might be clustered, but it's going to be beautiful. Put another one right here, right next to this Washingtonia. So that'll come up. Add some bold color, and then one down here in this gap underneath the Clethora. That's going to bring them through. Have one here, have one there. And you can see them going all the way down there and then up the hill when you come around the corner, around that hydrangea. I thought about maybe popping some in right here, but I think it would just look messy. That's a thing about the summer pinks, is that they have that big, beautiful foliage, but sometimes it's floppy. You may have noticed that. So I think that with the grass, if they're floppy, it wouldn't look quite right. Only because people are going to ask, with these heat waves, the in-ground irrigation just doesn't cut it, so I have to run the sprinkler. For the really thirsty plants like the cannas, the gingers, the bananas, I put two more right here because this gap has been bugging me. So there's one there and one there. That's going to look really beautiful. The gingers are stretched more than I have ever seen them stretched, like practically laying down. It's because we had a really hot day and the sprinklers didn't run. Our Wi-Fi was out, and that's how I operate them, and for some reason they just weren't set to run every day. I have since fixed that, but I've yet to get them to stand back up. Some of the ones in the back are starting to do better, but the ones in the front, this might just be what they do for the rest of the year. I've been trying to give them lots and lots of water, hoping they'll pop back up, but might have to stake them. If they were standing up like those, where they should be, then I would have put a few more of those Caladiums right here, but oh well. And that actually brings the final count of, what? 2 right here, and 2 more over there, 2 more right here, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, so I only have 4 of these left. That's perfect. Well, I'm sure there's more than 4 left because there will be all these little pieces that are broken off of everything. Boom, here we go. Gonna help hold some moisture in up here. Not that this area really needs much help with the moisture, but it's not going to hurt. That's what I'm talking about. I love the rice holes. I'm sure somebody will tell me if there's a reason not to do this, but I always have, and it's never been a problem. Rice holes are great for improving drainage. Now let's see. There should be 3 more in here. Oh yeah, oh look at that. That's a nice one. That's a big one too. I'll pull that guy off, put it over there. Scoop down in. Alright. And another one right here. I got this little bulblet right there. Alright, I think there's more than 3 left in here, so either miscounted, or maybe some of them broke apart in the package, or maybe they miscounted. I don't know. But they always send more. By always, it's the second time I've ordered from them. I'm sure I've ordered from them in the past and just forgot about it because the name sounds very familiar to me. Caladiums Florida. I think I've ordered from them before. Keep digging through here. Don't want to miss anything. I'm seeing all these bits coming up. All right, there's another one. There's a bee flying around my ears. Always makes me nervous. Anything else? Yeah, there's one right here. Gonna keep on sifting through. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. Thought I felt something right here. Here's what I'm gonna do. Spread it out. Just spread it out. See if there's anything left in these. If I see things like this, it makes me wonder, oh, well, maybe. I don't know if that's gonna be viable or not. Yeah, okay, I think that's all of them. Should be. That should be good. So, that was, what were we at, 11? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then all these little guys that pop up. Okay, well, I either ordered 10 or 12, don't remember. They said they shipped 14, and there are 16 here, but some of these may have just broken apart. This is perfect, because what I was thinking with what's left of these is that these would be pretty awesome put into some containers. The hanging basket, you can't see the hanging baskets from here. Well, I have some hanging baskets that I haven't completed yet. I would like to, but there's birds nesting in a couple of them, so I'm gonna have to wait. Probably no more than another week. You know, the little birds, I think they're, what are they? I think they're some kind of wren. They fledge fairly quickly, so that's not a big deal. And it's so hot right now, I don't really want to be messing with hanging baskets anyways, but they're just a couple big dragon wing begonias. I was thinking that putting one of those in each one of those containers would be so cool. Have those big leaves up above all that glossy foliage from the begonia, and then I have 2 more of those containers on my front porch, so that's what I'll do with those other 2. And the little guys, I'll just pop them into little containers around here. For the time being, I gotta do something with them, so maybe I will just put them into some potting mix in a very shallow container, and that will help get them going. I think that's probably the best option. I'm not gonna keep them in the rice holes. I'd rather give them some swell so they can start growing. Ooh. I was just about to head over there so we could handle the rest of those caladiums. I thought we need to take a moment here, all of us together, and just take it in and appreciate how amazing the hydrangeas are looking this year. They always look pretty dang nice, but I feel like they're on top of it. So if you don't know, I don't know why you would, unless you just have a very good memory. This is the vanilla strawberry hydrangeas. They're an older type, and that's why they come down and they droop. Because the flower heads on these are so big. These are panicle type hydrangeas. They're so big that they pull everything down. So that's why they get this weeping habit to them. I did give them a cutback this spring, late winter, early spring, of about 1/3, and I don't always do that. One of the reasons to not do it with these types is once you have enough structure, thick structure on the inside, I notice less drooping if I don't cut them back. But this one needed some restructuring, so I gave it a prune, and then I went, well, if I give this one a prune, I have to do it with this one too. When it gets really hot out, they start to brown up. They start off white, and then they get pink on them, so vanilla strawberry. But that's more towards the end of summer that pink comes out. When the nighttime temperatures start to cool, or more into early fall, the last few years I've been having issues with these browning and getting pretty crispy. You can already see it starting. See the crispiness up there? Yeah, I don't know. They didn't ever used to do that, and I'm assuming it's just because, well, they're large plants that are in these containers, so I should probably pull them and do a prune on them and repot them with some fresh mix. I top dressed these very heavily and blended in. I worked it in with compost, a lot of compost and organics plant tone and some flower tone into these. Or no, I used rose tone and flower tone on them, thinking that, okay, well, maybe that'll help. But really, I think the best thing that I should probably do is actually just give them a repot next, I'd say late winter, early spring. Maybe that will help with the browning. But I wanted to get a good look at them before the real heat gets here in a few days. It's supposed to be in the upper 90s and the lower hundreds in a few days. And that's when they'll fry. Last year, I moved them into the deep shade during the heat spell, thinking, oh, well, that'll keep them from crisping up, but it did not. They still turned brown. So I'm not going to do that this year. These are extremely large, very heavy. They're weighted at the bottom. There's a lot of weight on the bottom of these because I don't want them to blow over, especially the price of pottery these days. I mean, holy crap. I would not be able to replace these. Yeah, one, they don't sell these anymore. So there is that. Well, actually, I could probably still get them from Lebeau, however you pronounce it. I could probably get them in, but I'm sure they're double, if not triple, what they originally cost. So I don't have to do that. I don't want to move them if I don't have to. So I don't know. They might turn brown. We will see. I mean, they're going to, because they're already turned brown. It hadn't been that hot, right? So let's just take it in, step back, and appreciate the view of the beautiful hydrangeas. I love them so much. They're so stinking pretty. And they smell phenomenal. They smell so good. The entire backyard with this and the clethria, you know what I mean? That clethria, the ruby spice that we talked about. The fragrance out here is so strong and so sweet. Oh, and the mimosa too. So many good smells out here right now. Okay, and what I'm thinking with these is to, can you tell it's already back over here? Yeah, I had to get the fan on. I have options. Could go ahead and put these into containers, which I don't really want to, because it's only going to be about a week, I think, until the birds fledge out of there. So I think I could use this 10-inch pot right here. That's an option. I just don't think that that's necessary. This will work. I spread them out evenly on the bottom of the container, put some potting mix in there. It's already moist, but I will give this a very light drink. Keep it over here in the shade for a few days. I think that's the best bet with them since I can't plant them up right now. I was thinking about giving this guy a repot, but I don't know. One, I don't really want to put it in a black nursery container, but I don't think I have any ceramics or clay that are a size that's quite right for that one. No, I don't. And with the heat, although really repotting this should only help it with the heat. Maybe I'd put it in a black nursery pot. I'm not a fan of this one. I'm not going to use this one because it's the one with the holes up high. I hate that. That's so stupid. Put a hole in the bottom. I know it makes sense for the flood irrigation, but it's not practical for people who are growing things at home. You're just asking for the plants to die. Although they assume that you're going to repot the plant, probably. But that's a dangerous assumption. If you don't, depending on what's in these pots, they're just going to die. This might be a more appropriate size. Yeah, it would just be nice if I had something that looks nicer. This is good, though. Not a huge upgrade. And, you know, with the Angel's trumpets, I don't typically have an issue with bumping them up into a pretty large container because they root into them so fast. I should probably find something bigger than this, actually. Ooh. That's not going to work. It's a moss planter, but I'd like to get it planted up. Been reorganizing a bunch of stuff over here, making lots of progress. This is just a wall that went down there, stuff from the attic and the basement. Making some room in here. I know it doesn't look like if these pots are actually organized. There's just a few things that got set over there, but the rest of them, they're piled accurately. See? Nice clean pile. stack, a nice stack. Nobody's gonna believe that you organize things when you call it a pile, right? Just go with one of these for now. Maybe this Monrovia, that's too big. I think it would be fine in that container, but I don't like the shape of those Monrovia pots because you can't just drop them into a lot of containers as a cash pot. Do you know what I mean? Because they're just shaped differently than most containers. This might be good. No, I don't love that for the Angel's trumpet. All right, plastic it is. That's fine. Wasn't there? I thought I was just looking at. Here we go. I think these are the number 2s from Monrovia, which would be better because they're more squat. Yeah. Okay, this is good. More squat and much more sturdy. Really nice, solid plastic on these, which is something that matters because this plant will be top heavy by the end of this growing season. I want it blowing over, so I think that this is a good proportion. All right, let's see. Huh? Yeah. I can't turn it off. I don't know what to tell you. I'll turn it down some. It may not even be that bad, but I feel like it's probably very obnoxious. The camera, it overheats within minutes if I don't have a breeze going on while I'm talking. I had a little umbrella and like a special magnetic cooling fan for a while. Those kind of help, but really just a big strong breeze is what does the best. And I just did a video potting one of these up, so I think it would be unnecessary to break out the tripod. Break it. It's right next to me. I have to put a different adapter on this to use the tripod, so I don't think it's necessary. I've probably talked about this. I know I have talked about this. I'm loving this Proven Winners potting mix. It holds on to moisture so well, and it still drains really, really well too. Look at that. That's perfect. I think this is the perfect time to go ahead and repot this. I'll go ahead and give the bottom of this a little bit of a tickle, but I really don't think it's going to need it. Just do some of that with the root ball. That should be fine. Don't think that was even necessary, but do it anyways. Okay, yeah, so see, that's not really that much of an upgrade. That's probably right what you would want. And this also gives me an opportunity to straighten out the wonky growth that this has gotten from it. It spent just a few days tipped over after we had some storms. I didn't realize it. And it got all weird. Happens very, very quickly. I can adjust that root ball, straighten it out. Anyway, I think that's good. Might need to add a little bit more soil into there, but not too much because I like to have a big gap in there so I can water things nice and heavily, give them a big drench. I would normally prefer to go bigger than this when I repot a Brugmansia, but it's what I had. Y'all were with me while I was trying to find a container. So this is good, but this is probably going to want to repot in another 6 weeks, which isn't ideal because 6 weeks is getting closer to the end of the season. And I like for my plants to have at least 2 to 3 months to establish themselves into a container before I'm going to be trying to overwinter them inside the grow space. But it's fine. They're sturdy plants, so if I have to give it another repot, say, I don't know, first week of September, then that'll be fine. It gives me some time to do some shopping for pottery too. Fun. Something that y'all know I do not need to be doing, but I'm not going to get upset about going out and finding a reason to do it, right? Okay. All right, well, that was quick and simple. Hey, thanks for hanging out. There's not a lot left that I want to do with this heat that we have coming up. I decided with the stuff from Plant Delights, I am going to hold off on those because they're smaller, more delicate plants. So it's just not really worth the risk. What I have to do is wait a few days. So, yeah, that's good. The Caladiums, this is going to look good. I have, how many do I have left? 4 or 5 of them left. So there'll be one for this container, one for that container, maybe one for another container over there, 2 for the front porch. And or maybe getting one squeezed into the pot that says Adonidia palmism when I get that repotted, which will hopefully be happening soon. I don't know, I've been waiting on a shipment of soil to come in. It's just taking a long time. Wouldn't really do that right now anyways. Next week will be better. I think there's a day next week where the high is something like 82. It's supposed to be very nice out. I will water these in also, but right now I'm letting that sprinkler do its thing. Then I'll make sure to hit all the bulbs, the Caladiums, and give them a thorough drink. This time of year, I'm not really going to mess with the rooting. It's not this time of year with the heat. That's probably something I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video. So even though I don't necessarily mind planting in the heat, depending on what it is, that's really all that matters is what it is. Some things I don't care. Other things, like those things from Plant Delights, I'll just wait until things are below like 94, I think would be a safe space. But I tend to back off with fertilizing. Even the rooting hormone, which should be a very inert, or not necessarily inert, a very easy thing on the plant. Shouldn't stress it out all that much. I just hold off on it. I'll just make sure it stays nice and watered and morning shade. No, not that. Morning sun, afternoon shade. So I'm going to give this a scoot over to that side over there. And I'll just do it right now, or else I know I'll forget to do it. That's the best way to get them adjusted. They can take the sun, but it's just been repotted. That wasn't much of an upgrade though. This potting mix, I started to talk about that Proven Winners potting mix. Oh, it's been so good. Typically during the summer, I have to Oh, you're falling over. Leaning right on that. Okay, well, there's a new project that I'll handle another time. A lot of my plants that I run drip on every single year, I usually have to run the drip 2, sometimes 3 times a day, depending on the temperatures, right, and what's planted in the containers. The Proven Winter stuff, I've been able to get away with just running these drippers once a day, and things are growing and looking great. They're holding onto their moisture without being clumpy and heavy. That can be a hard balance to find. So I've really been enjoying it. It's definitely an upgrade from the Miracle Grow, which I have no issues with Miracle Grow potting soil. I've used it for years, but every bag I was buying this spring smelled like mulch, and they had little prickers in them. Like they were stabbing me. I don't know what that was about, but I was like, okay, well, go ahead and try something new this year. And I'm really liking what I tried. I'm sure I've talked about it before, and I'm sure I'll talk about it again. All right, hey, thanks for hanging out. What's going on in your gardens? I know y'all like the long videos, which for me, I would consider this a long video, but I know some of y'all want like an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's too hot, not doing it. This was good. I'm happy to have done this. I feel like this is, you know, that fun time of year we're doing more finishing touches where things have grown and you go, oh, okay, well, here's what I could remove or add or whatever seems necessary to really finish things off. And for me, that was getting more of these big caladiums in the ground, spotted around. You know, I think that having some up there, it'll look ridiculous, but it's going to be cool. And then maybe another one right here. So they may not end up in the front porch planters. I may end up using the rest of those back here. That'll have them pretty much full circle around up into this area. That's going to be great. Gonna look so good. Oh, I can't wait for them to grow. And they grow fast. So in a couple weeks, there'll be great big huge leaves all over the place out here. And there already are, but you know what I mean. There'll be even more of them. Hey, hope everybody's doing well. Having a great day, great life. Everything's just going absolutely beautifully for you. Here she is, Persephone. And of course, as always, and most importantly, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.